Mary got disconnected, but she's back.
I'm back. Sorry, I closed the tab like every
You're good.
time.
All right, everybody, welcome to the second live show for the Big Bad Booty Bitches Book Club. Today, we're going to be talking about the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. And I have my lovely co-host, Mary, with me today. Mary, you want to introduce yourself? Kind of talk about what kind of stuff you like to read?
Yeah. Well, I like to read horror, and more horror books, and I love vampires. So this book is definitely like up my alley. So I was very excited to join you for this one, and I cannot wait to talk about it.
Awesome. Do you want to give us a little brief synopsis of what it's about, if you can?
Um, well, brief, I don't know, because I don't know how to be brief, but I'll try. It's a story about a group of women, housewives, stay-at-home moms, that have a book club, and they read true crime, horror, thrillers, and all of this. And one day, one of them gets involved in some shenanigans with a new neighbor that may be something related to vampires. So yeah, that's the summary ish of the book.
Awesome. All right. Do we want to hop into our ratings and spoilers and all the things?
Yeah, I want to know your rating. I purposely didn't check on Goodreads to see what you rated it, because I was like, I wanted to be surprised. So
For sure. I gave it a 4 star. I thought that the horror elements were really good with the rats and the vampire vibes and everything. But the husbands were a lot in this novel. The gaslighting men were
oh,
so,
I
so over the top.
oh my god, I just cannot, like, I reread this time, and I remember as I was reading how angry I was at the husband. I was like, this, I just cannot. And I mean, I re-annotated and underlined things like, I hate this man, I hate this man. Like, it
Yeah.
just, the men are really horrible, and Grady Hendrix really, like, he really went crazy with the man. He was like, I'm gonna be a trash man, and I'm gonna put it all in on paper. And I mean, he did a pretty good job, because, like, jeez.
Oh my god, yeah. For sure. And I was kind of nervous going into this because I read my best friend's Exorcism last summer and I
Did you
liked
like it?
it, but I was worried about going back to this town in this story. And I was like, do I have to come back and read about these crazy people again? But I like this one better than my best friend's Exorcism. I think I just like
Oh,
Patricia more as a main character. And I like
okay.
the adult perspective compared to like the teenagers from that book.
Yeah, this one
So
is
I will say I like it more.
definitely, yeah, this one is definitely less YA than
Yeah.
my best friend's Exorcism. But I think, because this is a 4 star rating, twice. Like, the first time it was 4 star, and I read it and it was like still a 4 star. Uh, my best friend's Exorcism was a 5 star for me, though.
Okay.
Like, the thing is, the moment a book makes me cry, whether it's good or bad, it's
Hmm.
gonna have a good rating, and it made me cry, and 5 out of 5. Like, I'm a basic person for my when it comes to ratings. But it's true that Patricia is a much more developed character than, I forgot the name of my best friend's Exorcism. Amy,
Yeah, I think it was Abby and Gretchen.
Abby. Correct. I was not too far from the name. Uh, but yeah, she's much more likable, even though, yeah, like, she does some questionable things in the book, and her character is interesting. If I'm nice with her.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I don't know what I was expecting going into this, but I think it was more intense than I thought it was going to be. Like, I binge read the whole thing in 2 days because I just needed to know what was going to happen. But also, I got done and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I got to sit and think about that for a while.
like, it's crazy, because, like, I know a lot of people didn't like this book. For I think we're gonna talk about it at some point, because the critiques of this book, I think, to me, are interesting. And when I reread it, I was afraid that, because I had been, I don't know, like, I had seen these critiques, I was like gonna notice these things more. But
Mhm.
even though I had the critiques in mind, I actually still like the book, and I still do not think and agree with the critiques, even though they're valid, like, with the whole like racism and like misogyny of Grady Hendrix. But it's a very interesting book, and the first time I read it as a blockbuster type of horror book. Like, I just sat down, didn't analyze anything. I just, enjoyed the ride, and I read it, as you said, like in 2 days. I was just hooked. I mean, I read during COVID too, so I was home. I was, I couldn't do anything else but read. But the first time was more like chill to read it, and this time I was more like with my analyzing glasses, and I was really taking notes and being like, okay, this and this symbolizes that and whatnot. Also, because at the time I didn't have a booktube channel, so I think I just read books. And now I'm more like reading with okay, I'm gonna have to talk about this. So I'm gonna take notes. But still, the experience was as enjoyable as the first time, if not more even. Like, good book, great book by Grady Hendrix, in my opinion. But
yeah, for sure, I totally agree. I think, do you want to talk about the rats?
Yeah, it didn't shock me as much. It's very funny. Like, when you mentioned it in the, because I think in the YouTube link you put a rat or something. Somewhere you put a rat, and I was like, why is she putting rats? And I had to go back to the chapter of the rats, and I was like, oh my god, the rats. Like, I was like, I don't know if it's because I hate rats. I see them all the time in Paris, so I'm not used to them because I still hate them. But it didn't shock me as much. Did it really like disgust you?
I had heard people talk about like the rat scene before or whatever, but yeah, I was like, oh my god. Like, when the rats start trying to like come out of the toilet, I was like, holy shit. And I was listening to the audiobook at work, so I'm like, working in a spreadsheet, and then it's just like this rat toilet scene in my head, and I was like, oh my god.
I'm gonna stop this Excel formula and I'm gonna take a step back.
I was like, okay, they were not kidding. The rat scene is hardcore.
Yeah, it's very funny because I mean, not funny at all for my parents, but they live in a house, and sometimes, I mean, once they had a rat go out of the toilet, like in the book, because and like, I remember when I read the scene, I literally took a picture of it and I sent it to my dad, and I was like, look, it's like in real life. And he was like, this is not funny, do not make fun of our experience.
I think it's funny. Well, yeah, I would not want to be there for that. But
I was happy not to be there.
Yeah, no, you're like, it's funny because I wasn't home.
Yeah, exactly. And now they're traumatized, and they put like weights on top of the toilet when they go on holidays because they're afraid that like a rat is gonna it happened once in 25 years they've been living there, so
oh my
but
god,
it was one time and it was enough to have them traumatized for life, and I think I would be as well. Like,
oh my god. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. What is the because when I was reading this, did you relate to any character, or like, any of the female characters, because there's a lot of them? Or did you hate them? Did you love them?
I really liked the friend group of all of the women in the book club. I really liked Patricia as a main character. I felt like she was pretty relatable too. I love how, like, at the beginning when she goes to the other book club and she hasn't read the book and she's trying to just make her way through. She like destroys their whole book club. I love it. She's an icon. Oh my god.
Like, there's a couple of
I also really like how she really cared about the kids in the town, regardless of everybody gaslighting her and everything. She was like, no, like, even if they're not our children, they're still children, and it's our job to protect them. I thought that was really cool.
I mean, that's one of the main, and I mean, I don't know if you want to go and talk about this now, but like the whole, what did you think, and do you think the book can be considered as racist with the whole, like, white feminism type of thing of the book? Like, it's a touchy subject,
Yeah.
and I see the critiques.
Yeah, I see the critiques too. And I've also heard other people talking about Grady Hendrix's books and like they don't like the way that he writes women too. I've heard some
Oh,
critiques
okay.
about
In
that.
other books?
Yeah, I've heard some people say they don't like the way he wrote women in like My Best Friend's Exorcism,
Okay. That's
but I don't know. I felt like it was pretty well done in this book. I felt like the female friendship was really interesting to read about, and in My Best Friend's Exorcism too, to be
yeah,
honest.
same.
But and yeah, I see where people are saying that about like the white feminism and stuff in here, and kind of like the white women going into this black community and being like, we need to go and save their kids and stuff. Uh,
Which is, yeah, like,
yeah, it's
I
kind of
mean,
like, okay,
it's kind. I think
why?
my main issue, which is not really an issue, but like, is the fact that like the first time I read the book, I was like, well, Patricia saved the day. Like, she went in, she saved them, she, she she saved the day basically. But the second time I read it, it's kind of like a bittersweet ending because
Mhm.
she does save the day for white women,
Right. Yeah.
but like, because I had read a bit about this critique and the whole like white feminist point of view of the book, I think it's the purpose of Grady Hendrix to show how white feminism was at that time and how it
Mhm.
still is a thing today. And I think he does a pretty good job because in the end, knowing this, you're like, yeah, she saved the day, but they're still the forgotten ones and no one is going to talk about it now. And they
Mhm.
only got attention because white people started to be affected, which is, an issue that like happens. And I
Mhm.
think it was Grady Hendrix. I mean, I choose to believe. I don't know what his intention is, and I haven't
Yeah.
read any interview, so I don't know if he has ever talked about this. But
Mhm.
like, I do think because of his other books as well that that was his intention, and I think having that in mind with the second reread, the ending feels bittersweet and not at all Patricia saves the day, but more
Mhm.
like, yeah, she did, but for herself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see that. It's kind of like um she saved the day for the white kids, not
yeah,
for the black kids, right? Cuz like especially with the young black girl Destiny who she saw in the van with him and everything and like she was right there and
yeah,
that girl still died, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's
Like the
insane.
black all the black kids who he went after still died. So, and really like they didn't save the day until their kids were getting targeted. Like if their kids
And
wouldn't have gotten targeted, they probably wouldn't have ended up doing what they did at the end. So,
yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying that this would not happen today because I think in 2023, if the book had been set today, it would be the same. But I think for the setting of the book, it was a great representation. Like these housewives, they're like in their own groups with their own
mhm,
people. They do not go out of their own comfort zone, and you know, it's well written in my opinion. And the last sentence of the book is really like she dealt with the situation, she saved the day, she doesn't care anymore about this, and she's like, I'm gonna go do my own thing now because I don't care about these people anymore. And when I read it the first time, I literally wrote yes queen, which, because I read it in like a chill, I'm not gonna think about this type of way. But when I reread this time, I was like, I'm ashamed of myself. Why did I write this thing? This is so embarrassing. I was
yeah,
younger, but still, I was like, "Ooh, not just queen, just white
yeah,
feminist queen."
yeah, no kidding. Oh my god. I know. Well, and it's also crazy how much effort Patricia had to put in to get her white friends to do anything ever.
Yeah,
Like she really had to like be on their ass the whole time, otherwise they would have just let everything slide.
yeah. I think that's also like from the beginning. You see, I mean, obviously the book is written from her perspective, but like you see that she tries to do something else, that she's not just like, it's not just a book club, it's more for her, and it's like
Right.
she's a bit more like involved. And I think the other housewives, and this is something that I did not enjoy as much in the reread, is that they seem very bland. Like you could
Mhm.
change the names
Yep.
during the book, and like I don't even remember a name of any other housewife, to be honest. But I'm not the best at remembering character names. I am amazed that you remember the name of the girl that gets kidnapped. Props to you. I was like,
I don't know.
oh,
I'm good.
her name was Destiny. Great.
Yeah.
I
I'm
did
good
not
with
retain this
names.
information.
I don't know. I'm good with names, but I totally agree. Like, I only remember the names of like two of the other housewives. Like, I know it was Grace and Slick, and the other ones, it's like, they are pretty interchangeable, which I
Yeah.
do think is like part of the point. But I think the husbands are very much the same way,
Oh yeah. I don't remember
where,
any husbands' names.
yeah, I
James?
remember
No, James is the
Carter.
vampire.
Yeah, Carter is Patricia's husband, but all the other ones, I'm like, they're all just shitty. But honestly, I think that was the worst, like, scariest part of this book was how awful the husbands were
Yeah.
and how like trapped these women were. And especially
I
when Carter almost tries to like drug Patricia because she's, acting out or whatever. I
I
was horrified.
like the worst, I will always say this, but like the worst type of horror is the one that's very close to reality. Because
That's super true.
vampires, yes, they're scary, but they don't exist that we know of. But ghosts, paranormal shit, it's all creepy, but it's not real. But the moment something gets really close to reality, it's really unsettling, and it some like at some points I had to stop reading because I was like, nope,
Mhm.
I no, this is gonna piss me off, and I cannot I cannot handle this right now. Like
Yeah.
especially at the beginning, like when they have to lie about the type of books they're reading and say that they're reading the
Yeah.
Bible or something. I was like, oh
Oh
my
my
god,
god.
the worst. I
God,
It's
I
so annoying.
hated, yeah, when all the husbands like got together and they figured out what was going on, that the women were like targeting James kind of, and they came to the house during the book club and like made all of the women apologize and stuff. That was sickening.
Ooh, that pissed me off. I was like,
My blood was boiling. Oh my god.
because it just I'm still, oh, this is like, no, it just pisses me off so much. Like he's
Me
really
too.
good at this, because I've rarely hated characters so much as in this book.
Mhm.
Like he wrote very, like, I don't know if you watched, I'm gonna try to remember the name of the TV show. I'm not gonna remember. It's Nicole Kidman. No, there's a TV show that talks about like the first female in the US that got involved in politics, and she tried to go against Barbara Straight, like the whole feminist
Oh.
movement and whatnot. And it's very well done. And the husband in that TV show, the husband of that woman, is literally the husband, the husband in
Oh
this
my
book.
god.
And that's like a real person. Obviously, it's a TV show; it's dramatized and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
but
it's like,
still.
oh my god, how could you live with this? It's not Nicole Kidman. What's her name? Blue, the
Ugh.
movie. I hate. I'm gonna have to find it now because it's gonna piss me off otherwise. Wait, I'm gonna do it by association. Okay, so it's not Nicole Kidman. It's Kate Blanchett.
Okay.
Okay, I'm getting close. So it's Kate Blanchett. I found the actress. Now I just have to find the TV show. I'm going on the wiki. Mrs. America. There
Oh,
you
okay.
go. And it's Phyllis
Okay.
Schlafly. And she is an American attorney. Well, she was. She's dead. Rest in peace. Was an American attorney, conservative, activist, author, and anti-feminist. Which, like, just how can you be? Spokesperson for the National Conservative Movement, and yeah, like she was basically against feminism. And her husband, as you can imagine, was a piece of shit. Like,
Awesome.
Yeah, I recommend the TV show. It's really well done, but it pisses you off. So if you want something chill at night, do not watch this. But it's a very good. I think it's like 8 episodes, so it's very chill. Like,
Okay, I might have to check that out
there you go.
because sometimes you just need to have your blood boil a little bit.
Oh
before
yeah,
something,
and this
you know?
will because women against women is really specifically very blood boiling material. Like
Yeah.
it's just insane. And I mean, the acting is incredible because I mean, you have Kate Blanchett, so that's like anyway. We close this like TV show. We're here to talk about the book, but yeah, and honestly, it's a great book to be honest. But I don't think I don't. I have you read more Grady Hendrix, or is this your second one?
This is my second one.
Okay. I don't think it's my. I've read 5 or 6 by him, so I've read quite a lot. I think it's one of his best, but it's not the one that's the creepiest / scariest like book.
Okay, which one's your favorite?
It's between How to Sell a Haunted House and My Best Friend's Exorcism. In terms of scariness, I'd say How to Sell a Haunted House. And in terms of nostalgia, the atmosphere and all of this, My Best Friend's Exorcism. And I know it's a very unpopular opinion because a lot of people hated How to Sell a Haunted House, but I shut my pants reading that book. So
okay, I've been wanting to read it really bad, but yeah, everybody said that they hated it, so now I was like nervous about it.
Like the thing is, like you need to be scared. It's the thing about horror. You need to be scared about the things that are described in the book. If you're not scared by those things, you're gonna be less,
True.
Scared by them. I'm particularly scared by puppets and like dolls and these things. And so obviously I was very scared during the book. But I remember I talked about it with Maddie and she was like, you could have just kicked the puppet and like the story would be over. I was like, yeah, but you're supposed to be scared of it. You're not just like, so.
No, I feel you. I think that stuff is super creepy too. So I'll have to read that one because I have the audiobook, I think, from Libro FM. But yeah, I was really excited to read it. And then everybody was like, oh my God, I hate this book. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know. Maybe I'll read his older stuff first,
Well, I read it. I was like, it's a favorite of mine. I read in January. I went to Goodreads. So everyone's shitting on it. And I was like, well, I'm still going to put it 5 stars because I still enjoy it. Yeah, it's like sometimes it happens. But on this one, it was particularly funny because I think everyone I follow hates that book.
Wow.
So if you read it and you like it, please join me in the book club.
Okay, I will.
Of How to
It
Sell a
sounds like
Haunted
something
House.
I like because I really like haunted house stuff, and the doll thing is really creepy to me too. So I think it would be up my alley.
Well, when you read it, please let me know. I want to be 2 people in this world that like that book.
Yeah. Okay, I will let you know.
I do think it has a good rating on Goodreads, though.
That's so weird.
How to Sell a Haunted House.
Interesting.
3.7.
Okay.
That's fairly good.
Yeah.
I think it has the same as this one, the vampire one. 3.8, the vampire one.
Okay.
And My Best Friend's Exorcism has the highest with 3.95, to be precise.
Okay. I feel like that makes sense. A lot of people like that.
It's the easiest one to read, I feel. Because this one, it has a lot of characters. There's a lot of things going on. It's more of an adult audience. And My Best Friend's Exorcism is it considered YA? My Best Friend's Exorcism?
I don't know.
Yes, it is. It is considered YA, which doesn't shock me. But yeah. Well, good. And the Final Girl Supergroup is to me the worst.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I was wanting to read that one too.
It's by far the worst rated on Goodreads.
Okay.
As well. But I think it has bad ratings because it came out at the same time as another book by Riley Sager that's called Final Girls, I think. Like they came out 1 month right after, like really.
Oh, okay.
And I think the Rayleigh Sager one has like very good ratings because it came out
Okay.
first. Wait, I'm gonna check. Obviously, 3.8. The Rayleigh Sager one. They should have called each other and be like, "My dude, are you gonna write about Final Girls? What is going on?" Because that was poor, like planning on their side.
Oh my god, that is too funny.
Wait, I'm actually saying shit. They didn't come out at the same time. I'm lying to the people. Oh
That's
God.
okay.
It's okay. Well, they came out at the same time in my head, so that's
fair.
anyway.
Did Final Girl Support Group come out during COVID?
2021. So
Okay.
I guess yes. In France, 2021 was still COVID time.
Yeah.
We were still
Same here.
With the
Lockdowns,
confinement and like, yeah. July 13.
Okay.
We were getting out of it. So I think
Mhm.
maybe that's why people were not reading
Yeah,
anymore.
weird time.
We were like, we're done.
Yeah.
We're out of the house. But
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. Oh man. Also with Southern Book Club's guide, I wanted to know what you thought about like the Aunt Mary and her just her whole story, Patricia's mother-in-law, the old lady. Her whole like
Did I forget this part?
her whole story about like how James was this other guy Pickens when she was a kid and she had the photo of him and stuff.
Oh yes, sorry. In my defense, I read the book a month ago, and I tend to forget books in 2 weeks. Well, I thought that was good, and it was interesting, and I wish it would have gone further.
Me too.
Like it kind of felt like he tried to put something in there, and then he was like, "Nah, scratch that. I don't like it." And I'm like, it would have been good to have this whole like, conspiracy, not, but and it's true that's why I didn't think like it completely, like my brain completely forgot about it because it happens at the beginning of the book and then we don't hear about it again. Oh my God, now you made me angry.
I don't know. I liked that part when at the beginning when James comes to the house for the first time and the old lady Mary like flips out on him because she recognizes him and she's like, "That's the guy who killed my dad." And like all of a sudden she's like lucid again. The page. That whole story. It was wild.
And I just found the page, like I literally wrote, because since I'm doing this like whole series on my channel on deep dive on horror tropes, there's one horror trope that's very rare to find, but this one fits the book, like fits the trope, which is an old lady that says something that's true and no one believes her, and then we forget about it. And that's literally this thing.
I know. I loved her story that she told about like when she was a kid and how he came to her town and all that stuff with her dad and how they were like making the alcohol and during Prohibition and everything, and they killed that young black guy and like James blamed everything on him and then just left and like completely bankrupted the whole town. That was wild.
Yeah,
and then he like did the same thing. Yeah, and then he like did the same thing with all of the current husbands and Carter and everybody who, when they were all in that business deal with him, it's like that's just his shtick or whatever. That's what he does. Yeah. It was really creepy. And then she just died, and then everybody was like, "Well, guess that's done." Like what do you mean? Mary just dropped that.
She died.
Story. Oh my God!
No, but it's true, and like it's one of these things in books that like, if it's really well done, and I think in this case it's well done, even though we then forget about it. It's like when you have a person telling you a story and you start really getting into it and you don't even see that you're reading pages and pages and you're like, oh my God. And then the reveal happens at the end of the story and you're like, oh my God. And then the pieces start to like lock in your mind and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's happening. and it
Yeah.
was really well done. And I think something that would have maybe added a bit to the story, maybe this is my found footage heart, but having pictures would have really helped, I think,
Yes.
too.
I totally agree. I didn't even think about that, but that's a really good point. I think it would have been cool if there was some like mixed media elements and stuff. Like maybe if the
Exactly.
photo she's talking about was like in there, or there was like some kind of, I don't know, like newspaper articles or something.
Yeah,
Like he totally could have gone down the route of like Patricia looking into the story more, or like the backstory on the
investigating
town.
and like, yeah,
Yeah, that would have been really, really cool. 'Cause I thought that
I
was really awesome, and then, like, as soon as she died and, like, the photo was lost or whatever, it was kind of just like, "Okay, we're done with that."
yeah, it's
It's
so
weird.
weird. It's like it get you haven't read It by Stephen King,
Mm-mm.
but just very quickly, like at some point during the book there is a passage where like they investigate and they read the newspapers and whatnot. You don't see the newspapers, but like you feel it and you're there
Mhm.
with them, and it's very well done. And this could have been like, the book is already a bit, it's 400 pages, but like maybe if it had more of an investigation type of thing, it would have been a masterpiece, I think. Like it
Yeah,
was
I
missing,
agree.
that's the missing star to me. Like
Yeah, that's a
it's a
really good
bit
point.
too Patricia goes down the, down the street,
Mhm.
she does things, she sees people, and she
Yeah.
magically stumbles upon solutions.
Mhm.
Like,
Well, and the whole time, it's like she's kind of trying to prove everything to all of her friends anyways, and it's like, okay, if you're really trying to, like, get to the truth and have, like, physical
have some
evidence and
proof.
stuff, yeah, then, like, woman, like, go to the library and, like, you know what I'm
Go
saying?
read a book.
Yeah. You know, the way she could have, like, done some more digging and had more, like, actual evidence instead of everything
Yeah,
just being, like,
like,
hearsay, you know? Like, I'm sure that the husbands would have, like, thrown it out or whatever anyways, but, like, it would have been a cool element to the story.
yeah, and
I
it
think it
would
would have
have
been
even added more to the whole, like the husbands gaslighting women, because
great. Yeah,
she would have had actual proof and they would have been like,
yeah,
no, you're just lying, this is your imagination.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that's probably
Yeah,
either the editor that said like, you have 100 pages too much like
yeah,
in this book and cut them down, or maybe he himself, he was like, I don't want to go down this road because I just wanted to be a bit more simple, which, you
fair.
know fair enough, it's your book, you do what you want with
Mhm.
it.
That's true, but I do think that would have been really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Would have
completely
been
agreed.
very fun.
It's
Oh
see,
man.
like it's one of
Also,
these, sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
You go.
It's like one of these things, it usually happens with Grady Hendrix books. Like he has, I think, great ideas, but the execution is sometimes missing something. And
Mhm,
only two of his books, I mean, he has a lot, but only two of his books I have given 5 stars. And the others, it's because they were always missing something. Like it was missing
mhm.
some extra chapter or an
Yeah.
extra layer or something. And like Horror Store, which is another one that I recommend, but if you do read it in the physical format, because I think part of the enjoyment comes from the physical format of the book.
Mhm.
I read it on my e-reader and it was a bit annoying to read it on the e-reader.
Yeah.
So that's just like, pro tip. But Horror Story was missing still something. Like I wanted more.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes he plays it a bit too safe in his books, which,
Yeah, I think that's fair. I was kinda thinking that in this book too, and I felt that with Best Friend's Exorcism also, where, like, there's a lot of creepy shit going on, but I felt like there would have been more people, like, actually dying, if that makes
it's a
sense?
YA. That's why it's a bit
True.
softer. But
Yeah.
still,
Yeah, but I kind of felt like that with this a little bit too, and I know there was, like, some kids who died, but a lot of it was, like, before Patricia got really involved with it.
mm,
Like, Destiny was the only kid that, like, actually died while she was investigating everything, and I
mm.
just felt like there would have been more, more people
It's
dying. I'm like, "How is everybody not dead at this point? Like, this man has come into your house so many times, like, this is" you know what I'm saying? For real. I'm like, "I don't know how your
I mean,
kids are
I
still alive." Like
I do have to
mm,
say he's a very like he's an excellent vampire. Like
It's true.
he is one of the most prolific vampires I've ever seen in a book. Like the
Yeah.
man has a mission, and the mission he accomplishes. He's like, every night I'm going to get your kids, and it's happening.
Yeah. He's a wild dude.
Yeah.
He is super wild. But also, I thought it was interesting because I wasn't expecting the whole thing that happened with like Slick, one of the housewife ladies.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard anybody talk about that in reviews. And I was like, whoa, that's coming through my audiobook all of a sudden while I'm at work. That was pretty intense. I was like, I kind of had to stop after that and be like, I need like a break from this. This is getting like really crazy. Yeah, like
it's really it's really a different experience. I mean, obviously when you read it, it's always like you don't expect it. But like when you read this type of scene, when you listen to this type of scenes, it always, you're like, whoa, let's take a step back. Like I listened to the audiobook of Tender is the Flesh by I always forget her name.
Yeah, I think it's Augustine Bastarrica or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Great. See, you're good. Remember things. The book is extreme. Like, but there are many, many sex scenes in the book that are extremely awkward to say it in a nice way. And when you're listening to it, like the first one, I was like, oh, okay, that's happening. And the second one, I was like, no, that's enough. I need to go to have a book. Like, I need to read this. I cannot listen to this. Because the narrator of the book, like, sometimes they add extra flavor to the scenes. And it's like, my ears. Like, I do not want to listen to this. And, like, when it's consensual sex, okay, that's good. I don't feel bad, per se. But when it's an assault or some other type of situation that is definitely not consensual, it really takes you like, nope. You go like, I don't want to listen to this. This is not.
Yeah.
So
that was a little unexpected, and I don't know if it was like super necessary to be in there, but
the thing is, like, I guess it's to show that he's an asshole, and I mean, he is an asshole, but
that was kind of like the tipping point for like the friend group where we're like, oh, okay, now that she's in the hospital, like this is even more serious.
I think it's it was kind of like to show that it needed to happen to them for them to really believe Patricia and like go for it. Like,
yeah, that's true. That was kind of one of the first times where like they all felt it as a group, instead of just her. That's a good point. But I also really liked, I think it's in chapter 26 when that lady Slick is in the hospital. It's like right before the end when all the women are at the hospital and they're talking about what the plan is for taking out James. And Slick gives this really kick-ass like pep talk to all the women, even though she's like dying. And she's like, dude, like this guy thinks he's tougher than us. Like I've given birth to 3 babies. Like I've felt my baby crown. Like this man is not tougher than me. It was so good. I was like,
yes, white feminist queen.
Yeah, she's like the one feminist queen in this whole book where I was like, she's fucking dying and she's hyping up everybody right now so that you can take this man out. Like incredible.
I mean,
it was great.
He needed to go, so
yeah.
I'm trying to find it because I'm sure I cannot find it. I'll find it later. But
I know.
It's good that like I was like, yes, go queen. You're almost dying, but go off. At least your last words will be nice.
Yeah, that was a great pep talk. It was so good. And the body horror at the end was also wild. Yeah. But I was so proud of them though.
Yeah. Like I don't know, maybe because I'm reading more horror now than I did back then, but I wish he would take more risks when writing horror because he's very good at it and his body horror is very, very good. But sometimes he plays it too safe. He's like a vanilla latte when it comes to horror, and he could be a frappuccino and
It's so
like
true.
I mean, I guess like he has a very large fan base, so I guess he tries to please them all. But like, he's not gonna come out with a Tender is the Flesh tomorrow, and I don't think I
Yeah.
want him to.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's a shame that he doesn't go farther with like the body horror aspect in his books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like the way that it's written, even when like nasty stuff is happening, the way he writes it kind of like softens it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's how I felt with
exactly.
that scene at the end. Like that, with somebody else's writing style, that could have been the nastiest shit I've ever read, you know? But the way he did it was kind of like, it's just like a deer. And like, what do you mean it's like a deer?
It's like, whoa, we're like walking
I'm
chill,
like,
love it.
brother. I'm
It's like
like, isn't it?
he puts glitter on body
Hmm.
horror, and it's just
Yeah.
like, if you don't need to add it, like we get it,
Hmm.
or we know what
Yeah,
we're
it's like
reading.
that's what we're here for, right? You know?
Exactly. It's
Like it can be nasty. That's like the point.
exactly. It's like I did you read because one of the nastiest books I've read this year has been Chlorine by Jade Song.
Oh, I am part of the way through like the beginning of that. I haven't
Oh,
gotten to like the nastiness yet.
well,
It's one of those
it's
ones where I like
nasty.
started but haven't finished it yet.
It's nasty, but in a very good way
Okay.
ish. I don't know if, well, you'll see what I mean when you get to the nastiness. But it's so well done, and like Grady Hendrix should take a look at it, because she did not hesitate. She went for it,
I
and it
love that.
works. It works. I mean, in my opinion, it works, and I mean, a lot of people like that book, so I think
Hmm.
it works for a lot of people. But are you listening to it, or?
I started with the audiobook, but I was having a hard time like getting into it, so I
Yeah,
got the physical. But
you
it
like
is
that?
really well written though.
Oh
I
yeah,
really like her writing style, is really good.
but I don't think it's a book that works with the audiobook because of the format of like, the 'cause if I remember well, it's like letters and like chapters, like,
Hmm.
past day, letters, present, like it's a bit of
Yeah.
a, so oh, such a good book. I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, I'm
But
really
yeah,
interested to see. I want to see what everybody's best books of the year are going to be. I'm really curious. I feel like that could be one that's on there because a lot of people were reading that this year.
yeah, like to me, I mean, I haven't looked at all my books because I don't want to do this now because it's still November, and I don't want to accept the fact that the year is over. But I do think Chlorine is going to be up there. Like, it's a book that I read in March, and I still think about it. So to me,
Yeah, that's
you
huge.
know that's a good book, and I think the September House will be also up there. I don't know if you read it.
Yeah, I'm part of the way through that one too, and that one's also really good.
How many books are you reading at the same time?
It's best not to ask that question. A lot for like different videos, and I don't know, man. I've been like chronic mood reader energy this year where like I can't finish shit. Like either I read a book in 2 days or I get halfway through and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pick up a romance just to break it up. And then yeah, no, there's so many things I'm in the middle of that I need to finish
I,
before the end of the year. It's wild.
I feel like I'm gonna continue naming books, and you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm in the middle of that. I'm in the middle of that." No,
Honestly,
but I,
probably.
I I get it though. I have like planned all my videos till the end of the year, and I listed all the books that I should be reading if I want to do all of those
Yeah,
videos, and I was like, "No,
same.
this is not happening." I have like
Same.
25 books to read in a month and a half. I was like, "How? No, I'm
Yeah,
never gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna have to
me too.
prioritize." Insane.
Me
But
too. Oh my
oh my
god.
god. What do you
So many
think is
books.
going to be in your top three this year in terms of books?
Ooh, my
Since you
top
asked me the question, I'm going to
three.
ask you.
Hmm.
How
Okay.
many
Now
books have you read so far?
I don't even know. It's hard to keep
Well,
track when you're part of the way through
yeah,
something.
that's what I was going to say. Like, you probably will have 500 books by the end of the year, but
I would if I actually finished everything. Okay, one of my favorites that I read this year was an anthology. It's called Peach Pit, 16 Stories of
oh,
Unsavory Women. Oh my God, that was
I still
incredible.
want to read that book.
You would love that. You would love it.
Oh my God. I
It was
hesitated
great.
buying it the other day and I didn't. I ended up buying another one. And now I'm like, I should have.
You should get it.
But I'm going to
Yeah.
buy it.
Oh, you gotta get it. I pre-ordered it because one of the editors, Molly Llewellyn, is one of my favorite people on Bookstagram. She's really cool.
Oh.
She reads a lot of queer stuff, especially like queer horror. And so she helped put this anthology together of all of these horror stories by women. And it has a lot of that same energy that this book does, where there's like shitty men and then women get revenge on them and stuff.
I forgot about the cover. It's amazing.
It's gorgeous. I know. It's probably my favorite cover of the whole year. Definitely one of my favorite books the whole year. Fantastic.
Oh my God. I love peaches.
I do too. I know. I picked this because of the peaches on the cover. Because it goes with the book club with like the peach theme, and I was like, I can't not pick it.
Oh my God,
you know?
I did not think about that.
Yeah, I was like, I have to, but it's just been the
I have
year
the
of like
peach staring
creepy
at me in the top right of the screen, and I didn't think about the fact that there's peaches here.
Yeah, it's been a weird year of horror with peaches on the cover. I
Have you
didn't
read
think that was the
Peachy?
thing, but yeah.
Wait. Peach. Oh my God, the cover is gorgeous.
Yes. So that one's amazing. One of my favorites. What else did I read this year that's been like really incredible? I read some really good romances. One of my favorite books that I read was by the same author as the one that we're reading next month for book club. I really liked her other one, Romancing the Duke, was really good. It was really funny.
Oh my God, you have 1,200 books on Goodreads?
I have a lot of things happening on Goodreads.
Oh, okay. You have it's 1,200 total. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've only finished like 25, but I'm part of the way through like a million more.
I just wanted to say that I went to check because I read Vampires of El Norte just before today. Like an hour ago, I finished it. And I was like, oh, I'm curious to see what Michaela and you thought about it because you did the book club. And I went on Goodreads and you haven't, it's still marked as currently reading.
Yeah, I haven't marked that.
What did you think? Like, did you like it?
I liked it, but I didn't feel like it was really horror. It was a lot of like romance stuff, but I liked it though. I like her writing style, but I think
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, her writing is really gorgeous. And I love the setting of that one too. It was so fun. And I read it when I was on vacation in Arizona. And so it was like desert vibes. It was like the perfect time to read that book. Yeah. So I really had a fun time with it, but I don't think Michaela liked it that much. So
I mean, if it had been marketed as like gothic romance or romance, that's it. I think I would not have had an issue with it. But you know, it's still very like I really, really do love the writing. Like the story flows so well, it's insane. But yeah, it's a horror. Like we should stop making like just because an author wrote a horror book once doesn't mean that they're gonna write it all the time.
Right, exactly.
Flashing.
Yeah, I think that just got marketed to the wrong audience, but it is a good book. Yeah. So I don't know. And I really like paranormal romance type stuff. So it worked really well for me because I kind of went in with like no expectations. But if you're a horror person, then it's not the vibe.
If you like horror, paranormal stuff, and romance, you should read The Haunting of Mediclaire by Simmons and James.
Ooh. Okay.
Because that checks all the boxes and it's incredible.
Okay. I'll have to look at that.
I usually romance in horror books bothers me, but in this case I was like, give it to me. Give it to me. Give me more. And at the end I was like, yes. It's great, really. Like amazing. It's an amazing read.
I will look into that. I'm always looking for more stuff that's got like, you know, spooky vibes, but still has a good romance and is just a fun time.
It's very rare to have that. Like I tried to do a video in February, like horror for St. Valentine's, and I was like,
okay.
No, I had 2 books. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
So
I know.
maybe
That's hard.
like good horror with good romance, because there's a lot of horror
Yeah.
romance, but with questionable plot lines and storylines
Hmm.
and whatever. So, you know. Oh,
That's a
oh
good
my
point. I
god.
might have to look more into that.
If you find more, please let me know.
Okay.
Maybe I'll do that video in February 2024.
Yeah, that would be an awesome video, but it is hard to find stuff like that that's actually good. Because
I mean,
those
I
are
still
like
have
some of
my
my
notes,
favorite.
but
Yeah.
there's only 2 books.
Yeah, I know. And that's like two of my favorite genres. And it's hard to find an author that can do both well, you know?
Like Silver Nitrate of
Hmm.
Silvia Moreno Garcia. There's romance, there's horror, but mm, doesn't doesn't. Vampires of El Norte, it's too romance, not enough horror. So,
Hmm. I
you
know. I
know,
also felt like with that one, the author could have gone so much harder with the vampire thing. Because I liked the vampires in there. I thought they were really unique and cool.
yeah. And I was like,
But
why are
like,
you not giving me more?
I know. And she writes scary stuff well.
Yeah.
But we just needed like more vampire stuff.
Yeah. The book could have been 100 pages longer. Again,
Oh, for sure.
I
Yeah,
hate this new
they could have.
trend of like short books.
I
I
know. Well, and a lot of the stuff that was in there was kind of repetitive too, of like
yeah.
both of the love interests being like, "Oh my gosh, he left and I'm still mad at him." I'm like, "Oh my god.
We get
Get
it.
over it."
You left. It's been 9 years. Get over it. Did you have time to get over it?
I'm
Jesus
like, "Your hot man is back. Why are you still crying?" Like,
like just go to a cave and have sex and that's it. Like,
yeah. Come on
oh my
now.
god.
Let's have a
It's
little spice. Let's have a little vampire fight. We love to see it. Like, why are you
and,
crying?
and then we have like a tiny bit of spice and then
Yeah.
it dies. It's like
I know. And then it was just like everything was fade to black. And I was like, we've been wandering through the desert for days. Don't you fade to black on me right now. I'm
it's
offended.
I but that was the thing. It's like, oh, we're getting into it. And
Yeah.
then I was like, what? I had to
What?
check because I was reading it on my e-reader. I was like, did I skip a chapter or something? Like,
Oh my god.
and no. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess.
All right, whatever. Jesus.
Yep.
Also, her mom is super annoying too. The girl's
I
mom. It's
mean,
like this man just saved your daughter from the desert full of vampires and you're mad?
she's dead. She's dead.
Oh my god.
Like, first of all, learn how to check the pulse of someone because, you
Yeah.
know, this could have been avoided if you had not yelled that your daughter was dead.
Yeah, also, oh my god, the fact that his family still lived on the ranch and nobody bothered to tell him that she wasn't dead. Like, bitch, what do you
It's
mean? You've
like,
been sitting next to her for like 9 years. Give this man a letter that says she's not dead. Like, it would have taken
yeah,
you
like,
one sentence in a letter. Like, what are we doing? I don't understand.
it's no, but like, I mean, we're not gonna because this is not the book club for that book, but like
Yeah, but
the
that was last
setting,
month's book club pick, so you know.
the setting was so dumb. It's like, oh, she's not dead, and he didn't know for 9 years, and I'm like, okay, they didn't have telephones, but come on, he didn't
Yeah,
live in China, like he was right there. No, it's
I
just
know.
like what? So
Oh
insane.
my god. I know. A lot of feelings. But it's been fun reading these vampire books though for book club. It's been a very fun vampire fall.
The November one, does it have vampires? No, it doesn't.
No, it does
It's
not.
plain old romance.
It certainly is.
No
It
rats,
certainly is.
no vampires, no.
No. I know. It's not a shame. There's not going to be any rats or
Well, if there
vampire
are, please let
monsters.
me know.
Okay, I'll let you know if I read a page that has a
I
rat on
wanna,
it.
yeah, I wanna
You'll be the
have
first
a
to know.
specific trope, which is rats in books. That's a trope.
Oh, I
It's
love
gonna
it.
be the rat book club from now
Oh
on.
my god, I know. I love that. Well, and then I let people vote for the winter book club picks. And I'm gonna have a video up about that soon. But one of the ones that people picked is Mayfly. Have you read that yet? I'm really excited about it.
Oh, you're gonna have a blast reading that one.
It's gonna be exciting. Everybody's been loving it too, so I'm really interested to get into it.
It's one of my faves of
Oh,
2023.
okay.
Oh
Awesome.
my god. I'm gonna have to make a recap of all, because every oh my god, there's so many great books that I read this year. I
I love it.
Okay, when is Mayfly happening? Because I want to
I
be
think we're
there.
doing it in January.
Oh my god, I'll be there.
Okay.
Is that book insane?
That'd be
Insane.
awesome.
I think you're gonna have many things to say about that book.
I am excited. I've been hearing good things. You can co-host
And
with me if you want.
why not? I'll let other people show up if they want, because I don't want to take the spotlight for Mayfly. But if no one calls it, I'm on the wait list.
Cool. That sounds good.
But it's just FYI, it's a graphic book. Like, details are in the book, many details, many descriptions.
Good to know.
No filters.
Okay. No glitter. There's no glitter.
No glitter. Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Just a heads up, because it's not this one. I am incapable of saying the name of this book, by the way. I never get it right.
It is really long.
And I always put book club before like Slaying, or I always forget about the guide to, like, I love the name, but I hate the name. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires.
It's a mouthful.
Jeez, you couldn't just like put the Tches Slaying Vampires or something like that.
I know. Well, and I really liked, what's funny though, is that they mentioned that story that the old lady was talking about and then just forgot about it. But like, that's where the book cover comes from. From her story. Isn't that even crazier? Like, that's where the peaches come from. And I was like, what? Why are we not talking about this more? You made it the whole last cover and like the whole vibe. Bro.
I want to call Grady Hendrix and ask him. Why?
Hello. We would have liked some newspaper clippings about this old woman's past. Thank you so much.
We want to know why you lied to us. I want to try to see if anyone asked him this question in an interview.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody talk about it.
Has he spoken about it? I'm gonna tag him on Twitter. I'm gonna be like, we need questions. We need answers. Jeez, I'm tired.
I love it. Oh my god. I know it's late where you are. Is there anything else we want to discuss?
I think we discussed everything.
I think we did too.
Maybe I'll be here in January and we'll talk about this book again, because like, I tend to talk about a lot of books when I talk about books. So
honestly, I think that's fine, because I think everything is so interconnected, and talking about his backlist and other releases from this year and stuff. It's all just the whole experience.
It's the book verse.
Exactly.
The horror book verse.
Exactly. For sure. All right. Well, I'm so glad that you came on and we got to have an awesome chat. Thank you for joining me and reading this and talking about everything. It was awesome.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And I'm gonna have dinner now because I'm starving. And
oh my god, yeah. It is late in Paris.
Yeah, it is. It's 9 p.m. for a Saturday, but still, I'm hungry. I usually have eaten by this hour.
All right, well, go have dinner. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for everybody who tuned in to watch, and we will see you in another book club live show in November. Allie and I are going to be reading A Night to Surrender by Tessa Dare, historical romance. Very different vibe than this.
No rats.
But no rats. No rats.
That we know of.
Yeah, it's gonna be a chill, spicy romance time.
All right.
All right. I'll talk to you later, Mary.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.